Good morning, beautiful people of the internet, and welcome to another Sunday special. Joined live by myself, Piotr Rusinek, Helen Chorley, and the in transit Adam Lawrence. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Who had a chance to listen to the or read the supplement?
Oh, it was epic today. Absolutely epic.
Tried to avoid the temptation for ad hominem attacks towards the new regime, but hopefully succeeded in that. But had a few thoughts and a few things to say. But it's probably better to start with the chunky property bits. So the stamp duty was obviously welcomed. Probably will do more for the direction of travel of the market overall than directly sort of give any relief to any investors, because the 3% has not been changed at all. As a reminder, it still kicks in at 40 grand. So it will help anyone who buys with you, but it's lots of other, so that's good. But in terms of what it does for the direction of travel of the prices, I've been saying for a couple of months, if we could have a flat couple of years or a dip in pricing. They've probably erased that by doing what they've done on that front, I think. So we should be guaranteed a relatively robust market still for until the next election, basically, which, to be honest, I think they're in the process of not winning, because the bigger tax giveaways are only helping 8% of the population, who are in the 150 plus grand bracket, and the other 92% don't tend to look on that 8% particularly favourably. But there we go. The regulation cutting has gone throughout. The bankers' bonuses, I'm actually in favour of, which might be relatively unpopular, but I think less regulation the better in those situations. When it comes to pay, to be very clear, not in terms of regulating what bankers do, that definitely needs no casino banking returns. Thank you very much. But that's sort of where that's got to. And just probably the last comment I'd make, the overall use of the language. And I know people say this about politics all the time. If you listen to PMQs or whatever, it's all a bit babyish sometimes. And there's a few slights in there to people on universal credit, the other devolved nations. They're just not very professional, and not what I would like to see as the way forward for relations with the rest of the UK, really. But there we go. There's a few bits in there that are more for the Conservative Party faithful, and the people who've put, Liz and Kwasi in charge of things. So I guess that's sort of inevitable. But there's loads more that's happened this week, and there's I couldn't fit into the whole thing. But what do you guys think?
I definitely agree with you about kind of the pay. I made a comment. A guy wrote, I loved it. This guy wrote, called David on LinkedIn, wrote kind of his thoughts about it, and he tagged me. He said something like, I'm no kind of economist, or not got a bigger brain as Adam Lawrence, me. I can't remember who the other person is, and then Matthew Syed. I'm like, oh, I am delighted to be named among those people. Mm-hmm. But I said that to him. I'm like, as unpopular politically as it is to say, pay bankers anything, you are messing with where that talent goes. And if you want the best people in the best positions steering those big ships, then I'm afraid that is what it takes. So, that's my 2 pence on that bit.
I agree 100% agree.
On that point, there is a principle at play, which, if it was directed anywhere else, would be called anti-humanitarian, right? If you put a pay cap on nurses, doctors, teachers, firemen, anyone like that, all of a sudden you're the devil reincarnate, right? And the reality is, that these people get paid demonstrative amounts of money for very good reason, because if they don't get that money, their skill and talent will go elsewhere.
Exactly. And you don't want to lose that.
Yeah, and it's not comfortable, because there are industries and roles, job roles within the UK where people require more money. I think the nurses should get paid more, but the reality is they should get paid more, but they are not subject to an income cap.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. There is no upper lip. Okay, there is in terms of what the NHS can afford to pay X nurse.
Well, yeah, there is in the public sector, but not in the private sector.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
And also, like, let's not forget, and Adam, touched on it with what's happening with income tax, but those people are in the 60% bracket as well, right? So there is a knock-on benefit there as well. But again, people don't like to acknowledge that, really.
I think a couple of smart moves were keeping the corporation tax as it was instead of raising it 6%. Helping again, their drive for employment seems to be ongoing, because they basically said new employees, the employers won't have to pay national insurance tax up to the first £50,000, which should help affordability and cash flow for businesses looking to hire.
I wasn't clear, Jay, whether that's just going to be in the enterprise zones or not. It kind of looks like it might be, which wouldn't. I think overall, to be fair, although I've been quite critical today, as usual, some might say, the enterprise zones thing is a good move, and the way that they're going to encourage investment into them is a good move, because everybody will benefit one way or another. More jobs, and not having to use government resources to create those jobs, but using private sector resources. That is intelligent, ultimately.
Yeah, well, it's utilising the private sector in the way it should be utilised, right? It should be leveraged, and that's why you make it easy and accessible for enterprise to take place. It's one of the main reasons why you see this government and previous governments turning away from nationalisation. It's why a lot of businesses were privatised, because you drive industry, you drive GDP, you drive the economy by having things separate to the state.
So all those things, like that's like, some of them sound really positive, right? And some of them are just, they're positive, but they're going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah, I liked Adam's comments about like where he put his little comments. I really like the way he did it. So for those who've not seen it so far, he's literally printed the transcript of the speech and then puts his comments at each point, so you can see. And actually, that way you can see where they've given a headline, a clickbaity headline, and you're like, well, actually, what this really means is this, and it's not always, unsurprisingly, as positive as the headline makes it sound. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, the way pound reacted to it and the way everything else, kind of the markets reacted to it, is not positive, and it makes you think what direction everything is heading, especially like from, I don't know, Brexit, and since Brexit and everything, all that votes, like everything was kind of going down and down and down, and
I had to change some euros this week, or into euros this week. That was not a good week to do it. Damn.
No. I remember like in February, and to pay a chunky bit for deposits and everything for my flat where I live. Like I was exchanging 120 per euro, like £1 to 120 euro. Now it's like 114, 113.
Oh yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Massive difference.
Yeah. No, that hit me. But the inflation stuff you talked about was also interesting. Like, yes, they're taking measures, or they're trying to be seen to be taking measures, but actually what Adam said is it means inflation is going to be stronger, like it's going to be at a high level. They did it really cleverly, didn't they? They said it's going to knock it off its peak. So yes, it might come down, but actually what he's saying is, but it's going to be still at a very relatively high level, but for longer.
Yeah.
So people need to bear in mind.
This whole mini budget thing is it's been a massive contradiction in terms, hasn't it? Because they can call it a mini budget until they're blue in the face, but the truth is it was an emergency budget. It was one of the largest budgets in terms of tax changes and savings since the mid-70s. That's insanity to call it a mini budget. And that's what you're dealing with here when you're dealing with these popularist, sensationalist, identity politicking individuals who just kind of go, we'll call it this, sugarcoat it, and hope no one notices that we've just completely changed the landscape of British taxes, for the last 40 years. It's nuts.
Yeah.
And they wonder why people don't trust them.
Yeah.
Say it how it is.
Got a couple of comments. One from Shadow Chancellor, Quasiafum. Markets didn't like a budget in a mini budget in a good. Didn't look at the mini budget in a good way.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't.
But would they have looked at it any better if it was called an emergency budget? Is the question, right? Imagine not. It would have done no favors either way.
No.
Yeah. Marius is asking for a friend. Can anyone describe any benefits to date from Brexit? That's a difficult one too.
Yeah,
wait for Adam to come back.
Wait for it. I think Adam discussed this early days of Brexit. He goes, you're not going to see any real change or positivity or benefit from Brexit for the first 10 years minimum. There's nothing's going to be, and that's if anything turns up at all. But we're still not seeing any real positive changes from God. I can't remember the last time we saw something positive come out of the market. It's bad, isn't it? Like one said, the stamp duty holiday. Yeah, maybe it was a good thing. Maybe it was an instrument used to drive up property prices, which has a flip side, which isn't a great thing for end user owner occupiers and investors. No one wins out of a driving market.
Yeah.
Apart from traders. So more of that, please. It works well in our favor.
Yeah. But I saw comments on some WhatsApp groups from people who had flats and some houses in the market. And they said 5 weeks on the market, no offers. And suddenly the mini budget's out and 2 offers came in.
Wow.
So it's interesting how this influences people's decisions. Even if the changes they might not be that massive. Because if a flat costs, say, 200K, I mean, the stamp duty of, I don't know, 5K, like saving 5K on stamp duty, I don't know if it would be that much, but it isn't a huge amount, but still drives people's decisions positively. So let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it looks like Adam's got some technical issues. I think we'll see if he can rejoin and comment a bit more on his gigantic post.
Yeah, I really wanted to ask him about what he said about this emergency liquidity to energy traders when there was talk about, because obviously the energy prices is a big concern to everybody at the moment. And again, that's one of those things where the headline doesn't exactly equate to how it's going to translate in practical terms and hit your pocket. And there was something about 100% guarantee to commercial banks. And I'm like, I don't know. Having worked at one of these places, I'm like, oh, this just sounds so open to abuse to me. But I don't know.
He made an interesting comment about business rates on for commercial properties that are recently becoming let, that there's a 100% exclusion from paying business rates for X period of time. And I think that's interesting. We're picking up some commercial assets and we could do quite nicely with not paying some business rates for a short period of time.
Was that just in the regeneration zones as well?
It looked like it, but I mean,
Right.
as Adam says, like you don't know if it's in regeneration zones. You don't know if it's also applicable to free ports. You don't know if it's being picked up by certain regions over other regions. So a lot of this is like, and he prefaced this in his article, is like, this is the information we have so far, right?
Yes.
Because the one part of the budget that was mini was the level of detail they gave.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to do X. Fantastic. What does that mean?
Yeah. When? How?
Yeah. When? How? Who? What?
Yeah. Free ports. That's a benefit of Brexit.
Yes. Well. Oh, yes. There you go. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Could be quite a big benefit of Brexit. But
yeah. Stamp duty exclusion zones. Yeah. Fantastic down there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it will be interesting to see where those zones for these specialised zones as well that I mentioned are. Was it? I don't know if it was Adam or it was actually in the statement that was saying West Midlands, Teesside, Norfolk, somewhere else. It'll be actually really interesting to see where those places are. And actually, there was something about the government selling off lots of land as well, wasn't there? So in those type of areas. So
and there was also talk about reducing the red tape around land and development for planning, but that's been I mean, even Adam was like, yeah, they've been batting that around for a good 15-20 years. So
yeah, exactly. Oh, we live in hope still.
But every time someone announces, oh, we're going to reduce the red tape, perfect, then the mayoral seal came in, like, okay, well, that doesn't sound like it's worked. I mean, the closest they came is streamlining the class uses.
Yeah.
And the PD, I guess that was a really big positive net gain for people, especially if you're in that commercial conversion space, as so many people are following the direction of social media and property influencers who love that stuff. But yeah, it's gonna literally the start of that mini budget through to about 30 minutes in, and the difference of the pound just plummeting. Literally, there was a straight line. It kind of wavered. Oh, this is the start. Okay, he said this. Oh no, he said that. Oh, he said this. He said that, and it just fell off a cliff. And I saw that. I thought, wow. I remember seeing stuff.
Those are the days that I miss being like on the trading floor, because you're literally just second to second watching this react. You know, the FX rate react, and orders are coming in, and it's those are really fun days when you have announcements like that, just so reactive. Yeah.
I did some I was buying banking stock or trading banking stock, and I was trading some years ago. This was as the financial crash was happening. Whoa. So I went from longing to shorting in about 30 minutes flat, and did fairly well. I did a long-term trade on Barclays. I basically held Barclays stock for about 3 years until it went from 50 pence all the way up to like £2.60 something, or £3.30, whatever it was. Yeah. And when that was happening, like you're on the ceiling, the energy changes massively. I can't imagine, like when they were doing this, and this, like, okay, we'll short it, and then it plummeted, and they're like, Jesus, what have we just done? But yeah, it's crazy when that happens. It's absolutely crazy when that happens, and I would love to like have that chart in real time run across when the talk was happening. I want to hear the exact word he said that made it do that, because it's a cliff edge that just dropped.
Yeah. But actually, what also happens is it's not even just about what they say. It's if it drops to a certain level or increases to a certain level, there are orders. So people have put in, if it's dropping particularly, people will have put in sell orders. So when it drops to a certain level, they all get triggered. So you see an even bigger drop. So it isn't always necessarily like on the word, but that would be interesting to look at. But it's why, like, when people say, I'm getting into FX trading, and I'm like, well, good luck with that one. Yeah, because the advantage the banks have that you don't sat at home is that they can see that order book. They know when it hits that level that they have to sell this amount or buy this amount, and they know what that's going to do to the price at that level because they know what they have to execute. So they can see what's coming. You can't, and you're sat at home. How do you know that?
Well,
That's not transparent, and that's every bank that has their own order book.
I had one of these chat with these FX. I say a chat. I was really quite abusive on Facebook Messenger because they wouldn't go away. But I enjoyed it ultimately because they were talking absolute BS. See, I'm keeping my language clean for a minute. Let's see how this works. But it's like an FX crypto trader person, and I was like, they were like, well, with the crypto, the banks don't control this, that, and the other. I said, look, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a banker. I'm not a crypto genius. I've played with one. I've played with the other. I'm not too. I focus on real estate. The others are just for entertainment, really. But I said, you've got these massive whales, these groups of people that influence the crypto market.
Yeah.
They decide when something pumps and when it falls. So you have a group of unregulated, self-serving people on one side and a group of heavily regulated, self-serving people on the other side. There is no win. You're picking poison for poison. You're just one of them slightly regulated and one of them are just do whatever the hell they want people. And that's fine. You can believe that you're in a free market, an unregulated state. No. You're in an illusion.
Yeah.
Let's not go too far down that rabbit hole.
But I think in about 5 years' time there will be a movie like Big Short that will exactly tell you how those traders were and when the things go up, down,
Yeah.
and then there will be a commentary and there will be explanation and there will be I think it's 5 years' time.
Mark my words, there'll be one about silver and how the price of silver and actually all commodities is completely fixed. Yeah, I mean we've seen it in FX already. We've seen it with the WM fix scandals. We've seen it. Like, wait, watch the commodity space. Just wait for it.
I was told 20 years ago to take my I had £10,000 that I was going to invest somewhere, and someone said just put it all in lithium and walk away and forget about it.
Ooh.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I invested money instead into an alpaca farm.
Oh my god, that's genius.
Which in fairness did exceptionally very well for the period of time I had my cash in it, but I cashed out. They've got like 200 acres in South America now with like more alpacas than people, I think.
They are so cute.
Yeah, but lithium would have been the smarter choice.
Wow. I think you'd have done on the alpacas if you also had the trademark on the photos being used on social media of alpacas.
Yeah.
Baby alpacas.
Or the company that provides all of the wool and stuff for the Uggs or people like that. I would have made an absolute killing. Like in the last 10 years at least.
Oh man.
So there you go. The crossroads that we walk, right? It's not everyone's a winner.
I love the diversity of your investments, like a wool, an alpaca farm, like
meteorites. Yeah, it's
yes.
I've got a bit of money. I invested about a couple of grand in this kind of IPO of a company that is recycling batteries, especially batteries from electric cars. So they've got like the whole technology for doing that, and they're the only company in the UK doing that. And it's like the price of it. Like I think I got the IPO price was like 215, so I got it about 170. So 17p or something like that, and then the price was 21p. It went up as much as 54p. Like it went quite heavily up. Now it's down at 19.5p. But I'm like, this is the kind of thing to hold for like 5-10 years, because
exactly.
whole
stick a
market,
little bit in and wait.
Yeah, it's like with lithium. I don't know, X years ago, it wasn't as heavily used. Now it's heavily used in everything, but it's more of a wave. And the same recycling is also the kind of thing that there's a wave. So I'm learning from your mistakes, Mr. Howard.
I decided that I need to kind of drink away my blues when it comes to investing. So I invested in BrewDog. So now every time I want to get a 6-pack, I get like 20% off, and I'm like, okay, the investment's paying for itself long term.
I love that.
It takes me about 8 months to drink 6 beers. I'm a real cheap date when it comes to alcohol.
Yeah, but you've done some great investments recently, Helen. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the big one? Because I saw this on social media, and I think a lot of people have seen this, but it'd be good to kind of see how this evolves. If you can share about it a bit more, or
Yeah. I mean, I can't say kind of like too much, but the stage that we're at already. So we and Adam's involved, obviously. So it's a shame he's not here to join us. But we have bought Will Mallard's the lead on this, and we've bought kind of it was student accommodation, and we actually the view is to, or the strategy is to turn it into social housing. And there's different buildings it's 508 units. It's a big old beast, but it is split up into different buildings. So we'll be able to help different sectors of like the social housing sector, if you will. And we got the planning for it, which, you know, as anybody who's tried planning, Colin Smith, thank you. Great job. As anybody who I just love that we got 508 units, and you know, it is very specific, the very specific target. And I'm still trying to get permission for one house in East London, and I'm 2.5 years in to try to get that done. Still, I'm like, because someone explain, you know, you're like, it's like living in Malta. Let's not try and apply logic here, because that will lead to insanity anyway. So yes, an amazing team: Christine Janaway, Sarah Walker, so many kind of other people in the background as well. It's an awesome team, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be involved with so far. And there's a long way to go, you can imagine. But yeah, that's the first hurdle done.
Well, we feel quite privileged because we heard about bits and pieces of this deal when we were in Malta with you and Will. We got to talk through some of Will presented me with a limited information puzzle.
Yes.
And so we kind of got snapshots, but even we didn't know it was 508 units in going up for the thing. So that was really impressive.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big old beast. And it's yeah, you know, the post was just like, oh, like this is what we're doing to kind of let people know about it. Not like, whoa, like we're amazing. But it's had 10,000 views, which for my social media, that's a lot. And actually, this does show the power of kind of social media. So a lot of people have contacted us that have known about, know the site, or there's somebody that knows a lot and has got grants in the area. The guy that's bought the building next to it contacted me, and lots of people have contacted saying, oh, like, can I help? Can I do this? So the power of social media to connect and get us the people that actually we need to be speaking to has been really, really effective just off that one post. So no, we'll certainly be sharing more information as and when we can. You know, you have to be delicate around these things, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's going to have a huge positive impact for the area. It really is, and that's what's driving, you know, a lot of us. Adam Ludlam, I didn't mention him. Sorry if I've forgotten anybody in the team. I'm sorry. I'm still waiting for my caffeine to kick in.
It's definitely a powerhouse, isn't it? There's a little bit of everything in there. You know, you've got it's kind of like a little kind of Premier Football League fantasy team or something. There's a good couple of people on there. You know, I don't know if I'd sub anyone. It's one of those where not that I know anything about football, but it's a bloody good team.
And that's what, you know, when Will approached me about it, that was, a lot of the deciding factor. I love the project. I love what we're trying to achieve. I really believe in the vision and the amount of people and different sectors of people we're going to help. But also I'm like, the confidence that we'll do this and that we're plugged into the right people. It's not just about like how good those people are at their individual roles. It's who they are plugged into. That when we need help with this and this and this, like we've all got this network around us that we're like, okay, we can find the right person here. And that, as you know yourselves in property, is invaluable. The bigger that resource, access to resources you have is just putting things more in your favor.
Amazing. Really good, really good. Looking forward to hearing how this progresses. And I'm sure there will be more to follow.
Oh yes. Yeah, actually, like it's been really hard for me. I did one little post on it, not on the project, on the details, but when I'd agreed to join the team. Naturally, it was about a book, and talking about a new team that I joined and like the power of teams. But for me to not be able to talk about it has been like, oh, can we just tell people yet? So, yeah.
Okay, spill the beans, Helen. Adam's not here.
Tell us all the secrets.
No.
There's just, honestly, how Will even sleeps at night. There's just so many moving parts. Can you imagine just on something of that size? And because of the nature of it, working with providers and, and all the stuff that Sarah and Christine are doing, it's just this, and the finance, and oh my God, there's so many moving parts. It blows my mind. Yeah, he's super genius.
Amazing. We've got a site now as well going through planning, and we had the situation that was like a PD application was filed in on stuff like 25th of August, 24th of August, validated. It was meant to be validated 25th. But for some reason it wasn't validated, even though our other application was. And I think 3 weeks later, the planning consultant contacted the council. The council said, "Oh, you haven't provided external elevations," even though the whole project is for internal changes, like change of use of a building. And basically, they refused to validate it until those are provided. So they'll provide the next day. And we just wonder like how, because the council says, oh, this is necessary for assessing the light and the natural light and daylight kind of thing for the rooms, even though they can see exactly from the floor plans where the windows are and everything else. And we just wonder like how we need to contact someone for additional opinion, because that delays 3 week determination period, because it's 56 days fixed. So just wonder, we need to contact someone who's for like a second opinion of how to approach this. But councils do not make sense.
No, it's so frustrating. Although, like, give them their due to the people in there. I wouldn't like to work in one of them departments, would you? Because I think they just must be so overworked. They all seem to be in those roles from what I've seen, like quite short periods of time. There seems to be a lot of staff turnover, which contributes to the problem and the frustration. But if people are leaving, like you've got, they really need to look. Why are people leaving?
Because
they usually are leaving like
privately.
Yeah, exactly. They go to private consultancies, right? And
why wouldn't you?
And that's the same thing as we talked about the bankers.
It's exactly the same point on a different scale. If you don't pay the people, the right people, they will go where they are valued.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't we all? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I really wish I had some updates on the little house, which is just. I think I talked about it ages ago. Like it's the one I'm doing. It's an all-girl team with Sarah Nasrallah and Remy Connolly Taylor.
The
like
infill
amazing.
site.
Yeah, amazing architect. Like the house is going to be like fabulous when we get there. But yes, whole host of ridiculous, challenges on that front.
Yeah. Cool. And this week we also launched our auction workshop, the upcoming one.
Yay!
It's coming up in what is it? 4 weeks time, like in exactly a month time. We've got quite a good collaboration put together. We've
Awesome.
got like Omar will be there chatting stuff. Got
Great.
David Sandeman, the godfather of auctions, as Jace calls him. I think he really likes the title now.
Yeah.
I think he took it now, and it's gonna be proudly wearing it, like as a also honorary colonel, right?
He's an honorary colonel. Yeah, he's a really interesting guy.
Cool.
And yeah, I've got guys from RFB as well coming and chatting. So that's
Excellent.
it's gonna be interesting. What's interesting?
What's the angle? What do you cover in that?
Yeah, so this is a 2-day workshop. So we're gonna be doing things. So on the first day, we mostly focus on like a trader's perspective, because everything in auction starts with people trading something, wanting to sell. Right? It starts with their motivation to sell, and so we cover that so that whoever wants to buy or sell, they understand like how it all positions itself.
Yeah.
And then the second day is all about buying legal parks and things like this. So just kind of understand how to not make stupid mistakes, and when you buy and
Exactly.
actually make money. Um,
Yeah.
and I think what I really like about this workshop is because whenever we run this, like all good things come up. But especially in February, when we ran this like 6 months ago, out of that, I think people have bought and sold about 8 to 10 million pounds worth of property. Like the people who are
Whoa.
in the workshop, and that's what I like the most, because it's like it's an active thing. Like sometimes you go to the workshops or like whatever courses and stuff, and all those things are not immediately actionable.
Yeah.
But in here, like number one, it's more for this workshop is more for like active property people. It's like not very much for like complete newbies to property, because
Yeah.
you need certain level of confidence and but
Okay.
once you know how to kind of once you know property a little bit, then you can dabble into auctions, and understanding auctions is so actionable. Like, well, let's see, the last workshop, what we did, someone brought up a property that they were interested in,
Yeah.
and we kind of asked them a few questions, and it turned out like they were really interested in this property. So we're like, okay, well, if you're interested, call the auctioneer and ask them what you need to do this deal, because it's like we're not gonna just discuss the deal without, especially if you want it, right? Like
Yeah.
call the auctioneer. So I think we called the auctioneer for him, and basically the auctioneer said it was a post-auction deal, and the auctioneer said, "Oh, we can do the viewing in the next hour because it's like close to our office." So basically, we asked the person who was in our workshop to drive, like go away from the workshop. Literally, it was like 2 p.m. And go and view the property with a view to make an offer. Uh, so it was very spontaneous, and
Cool.
the deal sold to someone else. It was someone else bought it, made a higher offer. But that's the kind of thing we do. Like we don't we don't entertain just theoretical conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not our
Real
style.
real action. Love it.
Real
I'm
action.
feeling like, yeah, you might need to get some testimonials of those people that transacted the millions and millions of property deals.
Yeah, well, we got a little promo video.
Oh,
Actually, I'll post the link to the workshop in the comments.
cool.
And if someone wants to see the video and everything with David Sandeman.
Yeah. These workshops are really cool because there's certain points in there where we share some information. You can actually see the mind-blowing look on their faces. Like people are like, hold on a second, that can't be right. And then you give them the examples and like you go through the whole thing. And it's like, I didn't know that. And it's those bits, because like I think whether you're doing a course or training or you're doing a 2-day workshop or whatever it is, there's going to be large swathes of what you're hearing that you already know, that you already understand.
Yeah.
But it's those bits that give you the insights and the context around it that then enable you to play the game with a slight advantage.
Exactly.
And that's how we operate. You know, if Adam was on the call, he's a big fan of, like, if you can gain a 1% advantage over the casino, you grab it with both hands and you don't smile while you're doing it. You just do what you got to do. Yeah, and that's really cool. And then there's like some of the people from earlier on in the year, you know, that they, you know, some of them were buying X number of properties a year with or without coming to the thing, and now they're like, every time they're selling something, go, oh, can you give us the auction valuation? We might just trade it. And that's something they never would have done before, not have thought of before.
Right.
Or I'm buying this. Can you call this person and have this chat with them? Like, yeah, of course we can. And that's changed a lot of people's kind of ability to access the auctions. You know, talking about teams, they're able to leverage a little bit more. And it's always good, you know, for us especially, the more conversations we get to have with auctioneers, the more we're always in the forefront of their minds. That plays in our hands as well. Even if it comes to nothing, it's still kind of like, oh, these guys are still trying to do deals, they're making stuff happen, they're contacting us. So, you know, in that respect, there's so much value for us to do it. I wouldn't say so much monetary value, but there's so much value to the business outside of that to do it, that makes it worthwhile. And it's normally good fun. You know, Omar's got a good sense of humor. David Sandeman's got a really good sense of humor. He can be really extravagant sometimes. And yeah, we just try and have fun with it.
I bet you do. That's what it's about, like, as well. You know, that's one of my principles of investing: making money fun. That's good, isn't it? But just the insights, like from your experience, like when you're saying about, like, you see people's mind blown. I remember, like, when I was in Auction Buyers Club, and just like the bit that blew my mind the most was going through the legal pack and how things can be squirreled away in there, and you're like, oh my god, people do that. Oh my god, like, whoa, that's so unethical. Like, and you're just like, oh my god, and all these little things that could blow your deal to smithereens.
I really kind of like, I'm curious how things exactly work, like in Europe when you buy a property, because in Europe, like, the moment you make an offer, like, you have to pay 10% deposit, and I wonder, like, how it all works so that people don't end up with some problematic things, right? Because if you were doing that in the auction without seeing the legal pack, without anything, that could be a really difficult situation.
Yeah, I've not looked into it here in Malta just for many reasons, but I spoke to a friend that was buying something, and they don't even, there's something really odd, like, exactly, you're committed to the deal before you've even done the searches, but you are committed. And I'm like, I'm sorry, like, explain that one to me again. Like, I'll take unlimited risk. I'm like, oh, no, that has not got my name on it whatsoever. Like, thank you.
There's a David Sandeman statistic. I don't know if he's able to share it publicly, but in very, very broad terms, I'll say more than 3/4 of properties that are purchased at auction, the purchaser at the point of exchange, so bidding, hasn't read the special conditions. More than 3/4. They may have read or downloaded the legal pack or read the title or done something, but the most important document, barring all others, this is the one you start with. That's a bit of a heads up for people that may want to join the workshop. The special conditions, more than 3/4 don't do that. Can you imagine? I mean, being in the Buyers Club, or when you were, you understand the risk of not reading that document carefully.
Oh yeah. And then exactly, and you're committed.
Wow. Indeed, yes. So that would be interesting. That's coming up in a month's time. And this Friday coming, we've got the Auction Buyers Club kind of boardroom meeting. So we've got the people from Auction Buyers Club coming and just spend the whole day discussing goals, objectives, challenges, deals.
There'll always be a deal discussion in there.
Yeah, I'm really wondering how how auctions are gonna react to all the news from the budget, because normally, like, auctions are very, what do you call it, like, responsive to what's happening. So we've got two things, like one positive, which is the budget, one not so positive, which is the interest rates rising. So those are the two things, and I wonder how this is going to play out in the actual kind of auction environment, because people will be making decisions based on those things, right?
Yeah.
So they might be saving 5k on the stamp duty, but on the same hand, they might be paying 5k more over 5 years in interest on something. So yeah,
juggling all of that. I have a really interesting Friday coming up. It's the HMO Awards at Stowe House. Have you seen that building? Helen Turner did a little video of it. Oh my God, it's stunning. I'm thinking I just want to stand outside and look at it. It's this beautiful crescent-shaped Georgian. I don't know. I'm not an architect, but just a beautiful, amazing building in Stowe, Buckinghamshire.
Okay.
Kind of. Well, I'm getting the train to Milton Keynes. Don't worry. It's between. You can get the train to Milton Keynes or Bicester North, I believe, and it's somewhere in the middle there. But we have. So I'm doing the presenting of the awards, hosting the awards, and I'm really looking forward to it. You know, I just love like wins, don't I? I'm just like, yeah, this is amazing. I have got 18 to do, which I'm slightly like, oh my God, I'm going to talk really fast and get through this really quickly. But it's going to be a great day. There's they've sold nearly 400 tickets, so anybody who's anybody in HMOs is going to be there, and loads of people have messaged me saying see you there. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's really well organized. God, there's so much that goes into organizing these events. People don't realize how much preparation, how many conversations. It's like the Bleeding Bradford deal. There's just so many bits to juggle. And people don't really realize that or appreciate how much effort some people put into organizing these things.
I got a message from Helen saying, "Oh, will we be seeing you there?" And I said, "Oh, I can't do it. We've got a deal that's completing. We've got this whole thing going on, but like, if you give us enough notice," she goes, "I'll send you a save the date next year." I said, "Yeah, well, like some of my favorite people, like all, just the judges alone, Adam's a judge, Rod's a judge, you're a judge. This is the kind of place we normally find ourselves."
Yeah, some Property Sisters, Emma Stubbins, May Green. There's loads of people. They won't be there because actually Sarah will be giving birth, which is quite a good excuse not to be there. But Jane Scroggs messaged me the other day. She runs Beam Virtual Assistants, helps loads of people in property. She's going to be there. And that's what I like actually about the awards. So yes, it's recognising, managers and best investor and but actually I really liked my category. I was judging the financial services category. So that's everybody that goes into helping, support and provide kind of the HMOs, so insurers, finance people, brokers. It's like, actually, they are part of the team, right? You can't get these things done without it. So it was quite difficult to judge because you're not comparing like apples with apples. You're looking at an insurer and then you're looking at, somebody that does specialist finance. And I'm like, okay, how am I comparing these? But it was really good for me to understand more about that specific sector as well. It's really interesting.
Nice one. And the best thing about it is that it's not a black tie event. So
no, smart casual. I'll be smart, obviously, but yeah, it's like the dinner or like in the evening, 7:00. With this food vans, and we're just all going to sit outside. So I've promised to try and bring some sunshine from Malta, and just very relaxed, casual, so people can chat and mingle and talk to each other. And it's gonna be lovely. It's gonna be a really good day.
Nice one. Cool. Well, it looks like Adam has not returned from the technical difficulties.
I know. I'm gutted about that. We need to let him finish off his
I know.
chat about that next week. I bet I'll get loads of questions this week about the budget. If you do have questions that you wanted Adam to answer, let us know and we'll address them next week.
Yeah. Cool. What else would we want to cover before we wrap up? Anything urgent you guys can think of? Or things can wait till next week?
Yeah, I made a joke on Adam's post where he was talking about fiscal drag, and I said when I read fiscal drag, I see Quasi in full regalia singing "These Boots Are Made for Walking," and no one's reacted to that comment yet.
I didn't see that.
No, not a single smile on that one. So I'm bringing it up to get some more traction to Adam's post. But B, also chuck a smile on that comment, make me feel good about myself.
Your post is suffering from the smile drag.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, maybe no one's got smiles left in them. That would not be an unfair position.
No, but I think it has peaked on this show. Oh God. Cool. Well, we'll be back to things next week. Hopefully, with Adam joining us properly, and we are working on making this thing into a podcast and making it all kind of accessible, not only through like the live stream thing and then the recording, but also through audio platforms so that people can listen to us safely in the car or while they're running or going for a walk with a dog. I don't know. Anyway, we're making ourselves as accessible as possible. So, brilliant. Okay, well, let's wrap up for now. Come back next week.
Thanks for joining us.
Have a great week,
thank
everyone.
you guys all for joining, and pop your comments down below, and we'll try to get back to them as soon as possible. Have a good Sunday.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy.